So this is our where we chose between three camper, like what was it called, a Baldilocks video.
Baldilocks video.
So over the last probably 3 months now, we've been asked quite a few times why it is that we changed from the T6, the VW, to this van. And then as more people have been watching the videos and now understand about that we had another motorhome, that essentially people are asking, why have you had 3 different types of motorhome? So in as concise and succinct manner as we can possibly get to, because we do like to talk a bit, we've just a quick video hopefully to try and explain that. So we're going to start off with our first motorhome,
which was Benny,
because it was a Fiat Multijet, Benny and the Jets.
Yes.
If you don't know the song, Benny and the Jets, that's why we had Benny. And a funny thing about that one, I ordered a sticker for the back that said Benny off eBay, and it was like £4 or something like that. It came and it was literally like the side of the van, so that went on the top. So if you've ever seen pictures of it, that's why it says Benny in these massive letters across the top, because obviously I wouldn't want to stick it on the side.
No.
But yeah, it was a 6 metre long Fiat Ducato 130 6-speed or manual kind of base vehicle with a Swift stroke Bessica coach built back end on it. 2 bench seats this way with an end toilet and kitchen, and then like a bit of a cupboardy wardrobe bit either side for telly, and then all your stuff there. Plenty of space in it. Cooking wise was alright, toilet wise was quite good, quite a nice size because it had a separate toilet and
then a shower behind it, yeah.
And we mainly just used the shower for storage, so that was quite a lot of storage. Little cupboard over the fridge wasn't great, but it isn't in this one either, but it was an okay layout. Our issues with it were, it felt huge. It was very wide. It was 3 and a bit meters wide. And I guess maybe because it was our first motorhome, we've been used to towing caravans, so I knew all about towing caravans with the width of a caravan and everything else. We had obviously got away from towing caravans because I hated it. So the motorhome was great, apart from when it came to those spaces where it was just so tight, like Lake
anywhere
District.
in the lakes.
Well,
Cornwall.
yeah, anywhere in the Lake District, Cornwall, Anglesey.
Yeah.
So it got to the stage where we avoided going out in it to certain places that we loved, for the favour of going somewhere down a motorway and a big A road and a dual carriageway to get to a fairly average campsite because it was safer. And I guess
that put us off a little bit because we like all the other places.
Yeah,
so.
I like going somewhere off the beaten track.
Yeah.
The layout we kind of got more annoyed with, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it was a floor space really, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of floor space and then a turn at the end where the door was. The door was narrow and there was 2 steps to get up from there, so getting the dog in and whatever was always a little bit of a faff. And then if I was cooking at one end, you had to bring the food up to the other. And then I know it sounds finicky, but it's just the dog again getting in the way, and there was nowhere for him to go. So it just seemed like tripping up, and there was just little niggles.
It's like an alley throughout the middle of the van, really, and everyone had to go
one way.
It
was just one way to get out, and then and that was that. And the squeaks and rattles, because of the coach built nature of it.
That's why we've kind of gone in this process of moving around vans a lot. Is because I went over the whole process of this van's rubbish and blah blah blah. So anyway, we got rid of Benny. We didn't use him. Build quality was pretty poor. All sorts of things went wrong with it. It went in, had loads of stuff done under warranty, but still things went wrong with it. And then it just felt too big and the layout didn't work. So we went and I got a car. So we didn't even have a camper van for 9 months or something like that. But I missed camping. And then we saw some people on Instagram and they got a bongo, wasn't it? Is it Mazda bongo, yeah. And
it was just enough, it seemed, for like a day van. It would be
like just a weekend, and we convinced ourselves if it's just like, you know, get home from work Friday and then you spend Friday night and Saturday, come back Sunday, that'll be fine. Yeah,
getting that little inflatable awning for the side or something, give us a bit of extra space. Job's good.
And then I took over the search because it would be my car, so I traded my car in against whatever car it would be, and and I didn't want to drive around in a Mazda Bongo.
You didn't.
So I said, well, a T5 would be good. So then we found some T5s, and then obviously then I found a T6, and then it was in a gorgeous colour, bamboo green.
And apparently it had to have this, that, and this, and that, and this, and that. And of course this one did. Shocking.
It did, yeah. So that's where we chose that specific T6. Obviously, you know, the interior we didn't like whatsoever. It was a great day van because the layout gave it space for, you know, people to sit in during the day. The table was a bit stupid in the middle.
You couldn't really get past it unless
but
you were
they'd made
super
it
slim.
Yeah, they'd made it stupidly sized because it made up the bed though, didn't it? And that's why. So because they tried to make it a camper, the day van wasn't as good as it otherwise could have been. But yeah, after the first time camping in it, it wasn't going to work for us, and that's why I said, let's convert it, and then if it's still crap, then we'll just get rid of it. It wasn't crap. It was a brilliant conversion. Loved everything that we did with it, but unfortunately, after a couple of weekends away, just for the weekend, it was still one of those. It's just not right.
No, I mean the head height was the biggest thing, wasn't it? And I've got a bad back, and it was difficult to do everything crouched over.
That's
and then,
when she made a stool.
The stool.
It was a fiddly roof to put up. Great for space, but fiddly to put up. And there was no toilet and no real space to move around. And you had this tiny space at the front where it was Cooper, us, and everything else. So that's when we thought, this isn't working. I then had a few offers on the van when I did the van tour for people saying, I'll give you this much, I'll give you that much. I was totally dumbstruck with how much I was getting offered, and then started to look around. And I said to Mandy, well, if I'm getting this offer, then if I just buy it for cash, what could I buy with that? And that's when we found this. And yes, I know that it's an Auto Trail Tribute, and Tribute is the cheaper, like in a Tribute band, it's the cheaper alternative. This is their budget range. However, the standard equipment in the base vehicle is really good, and the basic layout of this and what they got included is really good as well.
Yeah. And it left something to do.
Yeah, we've got stuff to do.
Still a project with it, which was what we wanted to.
Make it ours. But the size of it, obviously the T6 is way smaller than the other motorhome. So the T6 is just like driving a car around. And it was van, so you had the benefits of the van and everything as well. And I use it as a daily driver. This is bigger. It's 0.5 metre wider. And, what was it? 3/4 metre longer.
Yeah.
So you do notice that. Obviously it's a lot taller. It's because we can stand up in here and we've got extra space and everything. But I still use it as my daily driver. I'll still to the supermarkets. I'm just a bit more careful with where I park. It physically fits in the white lines of any parking space, but it hangs out the back probably, a
couple of feet,
if not a bit more, really. Yeah, maybe a quarter more than most cars would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find parking spaces out the way for it, and I've never had any problems with it now. I think it's the best layout that we could probably go for.
I love the layout. We didn't think we'd sit up here as much as we do, but we do. We sit here all the time, and we could leave the bed up at the back all the time if we wanted to. But then you've got access out the back, so you can have the back doors open, you can walk out, and
that is something that it has changed us. Having the sliding door there and the two doors at the back are fantastic.
Yeah, really, really good.
So slidey tables or whatever you want to do for this area, so it moves around, that's brilliant. But yeah, this layout in this van really works for us, and obviously when we do the van tour we'll explain more about what really works and everything else. But as far as decisions wise, don't expect this to be the best quality van you've ever bought, and probably not to the highest specification either, but it's certainly got better specification than the VW T6 we had.
Yeah. More
space, private toilet, shower, a bit more cooking space area, but mainly
and an oven.
A full oven, yeah. But mainly the fact the layout works better as well.
Yeah.
So I hope that is like set anybody's mind at rest. Obviously what we can't really do is say, oh yeah, you should go out and buy one of these.
Don't overlook it though. Don't overlook panel van panel van conversions.
A big panel van conversion, but under 6 metre will still get you the same tax classification as a VW T6. So it's the same vehicle road fund license, what was it called these days. So just obviously editing this, and I forgot to say something that was on the original kind of like script of what I wanted to say, which was that the new van is actually cheaper to insure than the VW T6. And I've tried to explain this to people on the forums and things like that as well. Basically, if you build your own campervan conversion, or if you buy it from a smaller campervan conversion company, i.e. not Westphalia or something like that, when you come to insure it, most companies don't really recognise that it's a sort of manufactured conversion. So your insurance is quite high. For example, I really struggled to get insurance and I went with Adrian Flux in the end. And my insurance for the VW T6 is double, or was double, what I now pay for this van. So that's something else to consider as well, is if you're doing your own conversion, or if you're buying a conversion from a smaller company, it may well need some sort of specialist insurance or something like that. And then obviously you've still got to do the old change of your logbook to make it a motorhome on your logbook and all that kind of thing for legal reasons as well. So I guess those are some little kind of like extras you need to think about as well when you're thinking about what sort of van you want to look at. Anyway, yeah, back to the main event. So in the comparisons of the three, it's like the big motorhome we didn't like and we knew why. We then had a gap and we missed camping, so we bought a T6, which gave us the camping thing back, but it was too small. So it's like, what do you call it? A Goldilocks.
Baldilocks. Yes.
Because this one, it's the perfect size. It gets down the lanes we want to go, and its layout inside's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the best of everything.
So of our personal opinion on everything else, those are the reasons why we've changed. And that's why we would suggest, if you want something that you want more of a really enjoyable weekend away in, or if you're staying longer than that, definitely look at these more than a motorhome. I reckon that when we went to the Tour de France 2 years ago, we probably saw very few panel van conversions.
Yeah.
This time we've just come back,
loads.
And I would say it's at least 50-50.
Yeah.
So everybody seems to be going for the panel van conversion over the motorhome now, because they make such a brilliant getaway weekend or a week or 2 weeks vehicle, really.
Yeah.
And something you can use every day. If you've got any questions about comparing the three vans and stuff like that, then just ask below. We'll do our best to answer them.
Yep.
But hopefully we've answered a few questions for you in there as well. So thanks very much for watching. Take care, happy travels, and we'll see you on the next video.
Bye.